Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this weekly ag weather forecast for Ag South Farm Credit. I want to talk to you about some stuff happening kind of in the bigger picture across the country. We're going to begin first in Texas. From Texas A&M Forest Service, they released a report about the fire that was in the panhandle of Texas earlier this week. Strong westerly winds were the beginning of this, spreading the fire in this direction, and then it was met with a pretty powerful front. In fact, that front is actually over us now. That drove, really strong winds out of the north, spreading the fire toward the south. Now, the point behind me telling you this is that we've already burned about 1 million acres. And to put that in a broader context, last year we only burned 2.6 million across the country in terms of wildfire. There have been some years in the recent past where we've burned up to 10 million. That's 2020 was a 10 million acre wildfire season. And I do understand that a lot of these, of course, are in the western United States. But just understand something, that this is a pretty early and active start to the year in terms of what's going on here. Now, today, we have a big high pressure cell that's off the coast, and it is feeding a system that moved out of Texas yesterday and is moving toward the mid-Atlantic today. And the good news is it's loaded with moisture. Anytime we get high pressure off the coast, we can pump moisture into this system, and that's what we've got. But I want to give you some broader context on where I think this whole forecast is going to go, because so many of these systems have been playing off of deep western troughs and big eastern ridges. And what's setting all of that up is partly in the North Atlantic, but mostly in the Pacific. Now, this is what it is. Here you are, there's Hawaii, and there's the Aleutian Islands. And there's a split right now. And that split in the flow has been there for several days, and we expect it to stay there through at least the middle of March in some way, shape, or form. So what it's doing is it's driving all of the flow over the ridge, which is diving into the Gulf of Alaska and hitting California. This kicks off systems which use the western mountains as kind of an initiation point to toss lows across the country. For example, there's one here today that's moving toward the mid-Atlantic. I don't expect this split to break down until we get past the middle of March, and maybe not even past then. And therefore, this is going to be broader context to the upcoming forecast I'm about to give you, which includes later on new long-range information about what I think spring and summer are going to shape up to look like. So let's get through all of this, okay? First of all, temperatures today. This is the cold front that I was mentioning. So remember, all that cold air that came through the midsection of the country, it's sitting over us today. Plus, we have the new system coming out with cloud cover, so we're still chilly. But that's going to change in a big hurry, like it already is in the central part of the United States. So just to show you something here, earlier this week, when that front that's over us now came through, we saw temperatures in the northern plains that were in the negative single digits. And now we're expecting 50s and 60s in this area. Just crazy to see that. But bigger picture, kind of keeping in theme with where I started this video, I want to show you, this is the 10 centimeter soil moisture. So this goes down 4 inches. And you can see that as of late, we've seen drier conditions in this part of North Carolina, and they've stretched at times down here into South Carolina and Georgia, northern Florida. So we need to get some moisture back in here, and the pattern's going to help with that. But I want to give you some, like I said, broader U.S. context to this. Take a look at the 100 centimeter number. Now, this is reflecting the larger issue this winter with moisture not getting into North Carolina. But you've now seen, as of late, some drier subsurface soils showing up across the south and southeast as well, and it remains here in parts of the Midwest. So just to hit this point home again, this has got a lot of folks in the Midwest extremely worried. And what they're worried about is that not only has it been dry here, because take a look at this. This is February's dryness. It's dry in New England. It's dry in North and South Carolina, Virginia. And as a result of the drier February pattern and the fact that it's been so mild, I've got a lot of people worried that we're going to have a repeat of a major central United States drought. A lot of them are saying, is this going to look just like 2012? Now, because I'm getting asked that question a lot here, let's look at it and start to answer as to what might happen should we work our way towards something like that, or what even needs to be in place to do that. And then we got to put this in the broader context of what we really do know. So let's go through it and kind of figure this out. So you just saw the February temperature ranks. I showed you a moment ago the precipitation ranks. Here's the newest drought monitor, but instead we're looking at the class change over 8 weeks. Now, for most of the last 2 months, it's been a drought repairing time period. And even though you've seen it getting drier here at times, the only place it's shown up with any sort of a degradation is in coastal North Carolina. And now we have added up to a 2-class degradation. Now, that's not to say anything of the rest of the country, but if you look at the current map, we've now seen an expansion of the drought in that area. That's really the only spot that's showing up in the drought monitor. So despite the fact we've had some drier weather lately, the drought monitor is a long-term cumulative statistic, and this area has been missed for most of winter. Now, take a look at the drought in the Midwest, the drought in the northern tier of the United States, the drought in the Southwest. These are all areas to our west that we have to continue to watch. But right now, I got this guy coming toward you. Take a look from sunrise this morning through early morning hours. Look at that low coming through, and it is opened up. There's plenty of moisture coming into this, and we're going to get some moisture out of it. And then the system that follows it and the one that follows that hits us again. So I show you this, and I show you where we've been to let you know that there is, there is quite a good look at getting better moisture into this area very soon. It starts with our first system here today on Friday. Now, I wanted to add some more kind of historical context to this. So can I show you where we were on the winter for snow? So it's March 1. That means we are at the beginning of meteorological spring. Astronomical spring starts at the equinox, which is still another 20 days away from us. But we have missed out a lot on snow. And the Mid-South got hit once. The Midwest got hit a few times, but we've missed it. And if you're curious, this is the departure from normal. And you can see that we've got big sections here of, Virginia, North Carolina that are off between 4 and 10 inches of snow. Some places in the mountains up to 2 feet in deficit. This was not a big year for snow in the Appalachian Mountains, nor was it for, the mid-Atlantic or the Carolinas. Same thing for the Northeast, same thing for the Northern Plains, Upper Midwest. Some places here have gotten about a fifth of their normal snowfall. Now, the West is doing a bit better. Just to keep you up to date, the Colorado Basin is at 92.6% of normal snow, so that means the Colorado River will flow. And if you look throughout the entirety of the West, let's blow this up once. The Great Basin, plenty of snow. The Sierra Nevadas are going to get 8 to 10 feet of snow in the next 36 hours. And it's only the northern tier here that still needs more. So thinking about all of that, let's see where we are. We do have, if you notice right here, winter weather advisories that are out for parts of the Appalachian Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains. But all the actions west, where the blizzard warnings are, the winter storm warnings, the high winds. And this is all red flag warning in the plains for the risk of wildfires. Now, because we've had such a lack of snow, I'm going to tell you what's going on in California right now. This is their forecast from the National Weather Service out of Sacramento, showing what they're expecting here in terms of snow. So the places where it's kind of looks white again in there, that's where they're expecting over 100 inches of snow in the next couple of days. Absolutely incredible what's coming through there. So we better go look at it because we have our own system to deal with, and it's not bringing in snow. What we have right now, playing through the rest of the today into early tomorrow morning, which is right about now, is a system that rolls through bringing widely spread rain. Look at that. I want every bit of it. We need the moisture. I need to get it in place now so that we don't run the risk of just continuing to develop the drier weather. So let's see how much we can get out of this here, especially in this part of North Carolina. So that rolls through while the massive system comes into the west, and then we just get a bit of a break. We're going to watch a big system that goes up here into the northern tier of the U.S. Our temperatures are going to rebound in a big way. What we're going to wait on is the next system to come over the mountains. So you ready? Here it is. Trough ridge pattern looking down on the North Pole. This is the big dog right here that's hitting California today. Sorry about that. And here it goes. Now, we stay under a ridge through the weekend, getting into early next week, which means we're going to see our temperatures rebound. What we're going to wait on is right here. This is March 7th. The 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th gives us a slow-moving trough that comes out of the west, goes across the south, and ends up living somewhere here. Why? Well, we continue to split the flow between Alaska and Hawaii, which means we're not just done with that one. There's another trough coming in, the 10th, into the west, and guess what it does? Just follows the leader. So through mid-month, I keep seeing these things coming across the country. And then an effect of that is to give us storm systems on repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat, about once a week. So let's go have a look at it by comparing the GFS, which is on the left, to the European on the right. We've already talked about the first system today on Friday. It slides through. Quieter weekend, temperatures rebuild, maybe some scattered showers down in southern Georgia, but the big system's up there. So we're going to wait. This is the 4th, 5th, and 6th for the next system to come through. There it is in the GFS, here it is in the European. And watch, from the 5th into the 6th and 7th, that one spreads rain over us. I'll just rock back and forth between next Tuesday and next Thursday. The model that's been performing better is on the right. So that rolls through. And then the atmosphere says, let's do another one. And here it comes. The GFS is faster with it. It's there by next Friday. The European extends the frontal boundary out and just gives us some rain next Friday. And then it really gives us the big push next weekend, like the 9th and the 10th. So this whole setup is one that delivers moisture. How much? Well, over the next week, this is what I've got. Take a close look at it. These colors represent 1 to 2 inches. This is the GFS forecast. European, GFS. And this is the combination, or the difference, forgive me. The European is a much wetter model for us right now. So we'll need to watch to see what comes through. Now, just so you know, all the snow is in the west, but if you're curious how much is out there, again, 100 inches here is what we're expecting. But for us, the chances of getting snow are pretty limited, only right into this area in the near term. Okay, on the drier side of it, the plains. Over the next 10 days, this whole region is expected to receive less than 1/10 of an inch. But if you come up to an inch, this is the probability of getting it over an inch. So that's a 90% chance that we get over an inch of rain. In fact, the chance of getting 2 inches for this region is over 90%. How much more? Well, 4 inches. This is 10 days, 3 systems. So we have to be on the lookout for the potential for some pretty heavy rainfall. Sorry about that. Next, what about week 2? Well, all the models, the CPC for March 8th through the 14th, the European, and the GFS continue to keep this area wetter. Why? Thanks to the subtropical jet stream rolling through the area. In fact, we're even showing up in the CPC forecast for the risk of heavy precipitation. They've got a slight risk out for 8th through the 14th in this area. Now, the snow is going to be west, not risking snow, but we do have to be on the lookout for the potential for some of these stronger winds to get over into our area. Okay, that's kind of an outlook on precip. What about temperatures? This is the risk over the next 7 days of a frost. And here's what the temperatures are going to do. So this is starting off today on Friday. Already a nice warm up by Saturday. How much? 20 degrees warmer. Then this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We can just do this fast. Look at the warmer air that comes back. We're back in the 60s and 70s here. How long does it last? Well, the models say keep the mild air east day 5 through 10 and leave it there day 10 through 15. And what I'm going to tell you is this, just like last week. If anything pokes this cold air out of Alaska or redistributes the cold air across the United States, we have to talk about it. So can I give you the what if in order to return cold air here? Because we are really cranking ahead on heat. In fact, if you're curious, let me show you something. Latest GDD anomaly. This is where we currently sit on the accumulation of GDDs since February 1 compared to average. So not only is the South 100 plus GDDs ahead of average, but we've got places in the Carolinas that are 30 to 40 ahead of average. Compare that to what we expect in the next week. Ready? If we go to agweather.com, my website, slide right down here. Or where did I put that dumb thing? Oh, it's in my national report. I'm sorry. So let's do this report. There we go. And you've got, sorry, let me scroll. You've got some pretty good heat coming in. Well, shoot, where did I keep this map? Was it on Ag Weather? I've got too many maps going. Temperatures. Where is it? Ah, there it is. I'm sorry. Hey, it's all right. I'm going to leave all that in. Go to agweather.com and you can click on this map. So if you come down here and click on temperature forecast, it's right there. That is the 7-day forecast for accumulation of GDDs. Sorry about all that, but there you go. We're going to get 40, 50 GDDs here. More farther south, you go 103 down here in southern Georgia. Just keep that in mind, okay? Beyond that, though, watch this. My forecast for the risk of getting colder air back in place only happens if the MJO leaves the maritime continent. Where's that? That's Australia. Sweeps into and fully through the West Pacific. Now you're going, what are we talking about? If I can get these big storms that are over Australia to get into the Western Pacific and move it all the way to the center of the West Pacific, then the whole pattern flip-flops. If you see me forecast the MJO getting here in mid-March, then all the warm air that's east is going to go west. But we don't expect that to happen because we don't expect the MJO to leave this area. And you're going, I don't understand. What is this? Okay, what this means is if the MJO lives here in phase 6 or even 7, then the jet stream comes out and splits there, comes back together and dips over the west and bumps up that way. That's what it does, which is what it's doing right now. Right now, the long-range European says sweep it around and collapse. If this is wrong and it does this, then we have a new story. Cold air will be coming later in March. So let's keep talking more about this because my March analog forecast looks something like this. I don't expect it to be super hot in March. I expect you to be closer to normal, maybe a slight cool bias. How do I know that? Well, every time we've had a March where there's been an El Nino that's faded, which is these years up here, we tended to be cooler here and a little bit cooler along the south. Now, do we expect that to be really cool? I don't think so. Because when you look at this, you need to understand that we're maybe a degree cooler than average Fahrenheit. We do expect it to be wet. I apologize. My neighbor just started taking out a tree. I'm going to try to cut that sound out of my video recording, but if you hear it, I apologize. Let's get back to this, though. When you look at this forecast of the chances of being wetter, is it in any of the models? Well, yeah, the European says slight cooler bias here in March. But what about the precip? This is the 30-day outlook. Yeah, they got you wetter. Now, even if it's near normal, that's good. Let's beat back the risk on drought, but they've got you for the wetter outlook. Doesn't it look nearly identical to this? Look at that forecast. And going back to the temperature discussion, let's look at the 7 days. I am concerned that maybe late in the month of March we could get some colder air coming toward the Appalachian Mountains. Is this a late frost risk? I cannot tell you yet. I just want you to know I'm going to be watching it, okay? This also mimics, this forecast, the newest update from the CPC. They're also saying most of March is mild, but we need to watch later March in this area. But they've got you wet too. Now, given this forecast, I want to show you something, because I'm going to give you the April and the whole upcoming summer too in just a few moments. But this whole forecast, especially the mild forecast following what was a very, very mild February in this whole region, has got a lot of people worried about a repeat of 2012. Because, by the way, March of 2012 wasn't just warm, it was record warm across the eastern two-thirds of the United States. And it would be super warm for us. Now, we're not predicting that, but it's a possibility. But this is what happened in 2012. And I'm getting asked by hundreds of people in the Midwest, are we going to get a repeat of this because how mild it is now? Because what happened in June through August was record drought in this area. Now, we were patchwork in Ag South territory, but people want to know if this is going to happen. I'm just going to tell you something carefully. This is what the ocean temperature pattern did in 2012. It was super cold here. That's called the negative PDO. El Nino was dead. Big negative PDO signal. And that drove the jet stream to do this. Big omega block. This is what our current ocean temperatures look like. I'm more concerned that we could get into a pretty wet pattern and stay in a wet pattern for a big section of the country. I'm also concerned how warm the waters are here, prompting a pretty potent hurricane season. And while El Nino is fading, the water here is not really, really cold yet. So, what's to say that this is going to be a 2012? Can I tell you what I think it's going to be? Well, this is what I've got for April. I don't see a major deviation from normal for temperatures for April. Could we keep our wetter bias? Possibly. But April is the most difficult month of the year to forecast. What I am most concerned about is this, and I want to spend some time in kind of marinating this. This is what happened every time there was an El Nino in winter that faded in spring and collapsed in summer and tried to show up with a La Nina by the next fall. What we tended to have happen was somewhere between the Mid-South and High Plains ridging, which gave us those thunderstorms that rode the ridge and cascaded into the Carolinas. And then an active hurricane season that followed it. That's what I'm concerned about happening. Now, next Friday, in that video, I'll have brand new long-range data from you from the European model. And you know I showed you this the last 3 weeks. The European model is wetter for us for the whole growing season. This is an analog approach, and we're going to compare the two. Okay? So let's keep this tucked away in the back of our minds. Very quickly, globally, this is where the MJO lives right now. That's why this whole half of Australia is looking quite wet. Western Europe is wet. Black Sea area, dry. South America, let's take a closer look because the drought that's extended into this area lately has started to eat away at some of the crop potential in this region. But over the next 10 days, we're continuing to stay dry there, while wetter in Paraguay, Uruguay, northern Argentina, drier in Buenos Aires, wetter in Northeast. Now, why does this matter? Well, we do grow a lot of corn and soybeans in the Carolinas and Georgia. Okay, we grow a lot of cotton down in Georgia as well. And this is where we plant a lot of our cotton. I think I'll have to go look this up again. I think 70% of the safrinha cotton's grown right here. And I'm just showing you that it's dry, not that they're trying to plant it. And the models are trying to keep that area dry through the rest of March into April. Now, let me rephrase that, drier. And if that actually manifests itself, we've got a story coming out of South America going forward. Now, right now, it's a wait and see, but I'll keep you up to date on that, okay? Hey, I really appreciate your attention this week, and we'll talk again next Friday. Have a good one. Thanks.